Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing you guys another fantasy football video. This one will be another mock draft by one of the requests from you guys in the comments. You guys requested that I do a 10-team half PPR mock draft on Sleeper from pick 4. Roster settings in this one, we've got standard 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, with 2 flex spots here. So I really fun doing this one. Hopefully you guys find this useful. Running out of time here in draft season. If you guys do have some requests that you want me to get to in terms of mock drafts, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'll try and get to all of them that you guys request. So let me know in the comments. I'll try and help you out there. And if I can't do a full mock draft, I'll give you guys just like a quick overview of what I'd like to do with that spot, just in case I don't have time to get to all of them. It'll just depend on how many of you guys actually ask me to do a mock draft for you. So yeah, this one should be a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys find these useful. I'll try and talk through my strategy and all that as I go. Rate my team at the end of it and all that. Should be a lot of fun. And yeah, super excited for it. So yeah, with that, let's just get into it. I'll start the draft here. Picking from pick 4 here, we're going to see generally a pretty chalk start of McCaffrey, Tyreek, and I was expecting to see CD here. CD not going at pick 4 certainly makes this a really nice situation for us to be in. We got a couple different options here. CD is obviously the selection here. If I was going to go with anything else, it would actually be Breece Hall. But personally, I prefer Bijan to Breece Hall anyway, and I wouldn't really want to reach that far down to get Breece Hall at 8. I think we'll take CD here. He's got his contract. He'll be playing. He's going to be a stud. Could easily be the wide receiver 1 again, and getting him at pick 4 is a pretty great start here. So we'll start with CD Lamb here. Again, also the thing I'll note is that when you're in these larger rosters, we've got 2 flex spots here. Generally in half PPR or full PPR, you're going to be looking to start a receiver in that flex spot. So when you have 2 flex spots, it makes the receiver position just a tiny bit more valuable than it would be in half PPR or in like a 1 flex situation. So keep that in mind. But in general, I do think I like going receiver in the first round, but I'm still more than willing to take McCaffrey, Bijan, or Breece in the first round. Here we came around here to the second round. Top player on the board here's Kyren Williams, a really interesting player to talk about right now. We got a report or a quote from Sean McVay just today saying that Kyren Williams will be the primary punt returner for the Los Angeles Rams. Obviously not great. Not very often does it happen that an important player on the team ends up returning punts. Going back to 2015, I believe I saw a stat. There have only been 2 running backs with over 150 carries and 10 punt returns in the same season. Or 1 running back, and that was Alvin Kamara the year he finishes the RB4. So it can happen, but it sort of takes like a really unique player. It does scare me off of Kyren just a tiny bit. In that full quote, Sean McVay went on to say that it's more a product of him feeling comfortable with Blake Corum and Ronnie Rivers being able to spell Kyren behind him if needed. So it's like Kyren's still the guy here. They also mentioned for sure that it's just another way to get Kyren, a playmaker that'd be really integral to the offense of the ball. So I'm not completely scared of it. If your league rewards return yards, it's certainly something to consider. At this spot, I do think he is still the best player on the board, but it's tough. I would certainly consider someone like Derrick Henry is right in that same tier. If I was looking at the running back position, I think even like Isaiah Pacheco is around the same area, but I can probably get him with a later pick. At receiver, Drake London or Olave would be the pick, but I'm not in love with them enough, and I would like to go. It's tough, but I think I'm going to go Kyren here, even though I am a little bit scared to do it, just because obviously there's a lot hanging in the balance there. But I think there will be better receivers available here, and I'll want to go towards a receiver. Looks like that sort of panned out here. Chris Olave made it back to us. He's a guy that I'm super stoked about. You guys know that about me. Pacheco would be the other selection here that's certainly an option. Josh Jacobs is another strong consideration. Just with the news we got today, we got A.J. Dillon placed on IR. He will not play at all this season. Marshawn Lloyd has gotten a lot of negative reports out of camp so far, so there is reason to suspect that Josh Jacobs could just pretty easily be a true workhorse in what should be a really good offense. So I am warming on Josh Jacobs just a little bit. He does need to be considered a little bit more strongly here, but I would still prefer Pacheco to him. So if I was going to go running back, it would be Pacheco. At receiver, it's going to be pretty clear to go Olave. One thing I like to do, just because I'm not dead sold on taking Olave over Pacheco here, I want to just take a look and see. Let's go to what we're picking at pick 4.7. So we're looking at pick 36 in general. What players are available there? Running back, Rashad White's a consideration. At receiver, maybe we get Nico or Waddle. Those are guys we like. Kupp's certainly an option. DJ Moore. At running back, we'd be looking at just Rashad White or James Cook. A little iffy. I like Pacheco a lot, so I'm actually considering taking Pacheco here, and then we can sort of ignore the running back position a little bit the rest of the way unless a big value presents itself. That's sort of where I'm leaning, just because I think Pacheco's in line for a monster role this season. I like Olave a lot. It's nothing against him, but I think there are great receivers later on, and I think the drop-off at running back is pretty big after Pacheco here. So we're actually going to go Pacheco. Obviously, Olave is the next selection. That's no surprise here. And then here we're hoping we can get Nico. I'd be shocked if he makes it all the way back to us, but it's certainly possible. It's a bit of a bummer. We saw him go just 2 picks before us. Stephon Diggs, pitch off my board. I'm not really interested in him at all. So here we've got a couple different options. We could technically go Rachaad White. He's the highest ranked player other than Stephon Diggs left by ADP. I just can't come around to doing that. I like Rachaad White, but I don't want to go running back in rounds 2 through 4, especially in a situation where we're only starting 2 running backs. I'd like in a half PPR format. I'd prefer to be looking at a receiver here. If we want to look at tight end or quarterback, McBride's a little bit early to go there. I would strongly consider him in round 5. At quarterback, we're looking at Stroud, Anthony Richardson. Again, too early for those guys, so we're not really considering that. So we're just looking at wide receiver and running back. I don't really want to go running back, unless there's a crazy value, and there's not. So for me, it's just going to be taking the best wide receiver on the board. A couple different options here. I love Tank Dell, but it's just a little bit too early to do that. We could get him later on. DK Metcalf's a strong consideration, as is DJ Moore and Malik Neighbors. So I like all those guys. I personally am the highest on DJ Moore. I think he's in line for another monster season. And I think DJ Moore is probably going to be the selection here, but DK Metcalf is a strong option as well. The only reason I'm even no, I was going to say I'm higher on Rome Odunze than I am JSN, and I'm not prone to picking 2 wide receivers from the same wide receiver core. So if I were going to take Metcalf, I can't take JSN. If I take DJ Moore, I can't take Rome later. But I'm not going to let that influence my decision here. I'm going to take my highest ranked guy. We're going to take DJ Moore here and give ourselves a really solid wide receiver too. Hopefully coming back to us. If James Cook were to make it to us, I would absolutely take him here. Saw him go 1 pick ahead of us. That's a bit of a bummer. But we do certainly have a really great value presented to us here in Malik Neighbors. He's someone that I'm pretty happy about and have pretty high expectations for here. The other thing, though, that I'll highlight is I have a pretty strong desire to get a top 5 quarter tight end in all of my drafts right now. If we look, that pretty much ends at Dalton Kincaid. We're not going to get Dalton Kincaid in round 6 here. So I'm inclined to take Trey McBride, my personal tight end 1. There's going to be a lot of receivers available here in round 6. If we just take a look at round 6, Tank Dell might make it to us. T. Higgins should make it to us. Pickens, McLaurin, Jaden Reed. A lot of really good players are going to make it to us in round 6. So I think we can wait on receiver here. We don't need to take Malik Neighbors. At running back, there are some good options as well. I like Monty. I like Kamara. Najee's a good option. Raheem Mostert's great. Pollard is someone that I've grown on quite a bit. I think he's going to be the clear starter in Tennessee. But I think what we're going to do here is we're probably just going to take Trey McBride. He's my favorite player left on the board, and it fills a positional need that I really want to make an effort, especially in a 10-team league, to get a top 5 guy there. So McBride's going to be the pick here. We'll see what happens after that. Of course, we see Malik Neighbors go the next player off the board. Not surprising at all. We were certainly not going to get him with this pick. As we get back to this next pick, what we're looking for, again, I'd love to get Tank Dell if we can, and it's of course, he goes 1 pick before us because Team 5 decides they want to have 5 wide receivers in their first 6 picks, and Team 6 decided they want to go 6 for 6 wide receivers, so that's great. Totally fine, though. Still a lot of players we love. T. Higgins is a player that I really like this season. I've drafted him quite a bit, and I think he is in line for a pretty strong bounce back here compared to what happened last season, so he's certainly in consideration here. We're not looking at tight end. That's off the board the rest of the draft. We got McBride. I'm not going to double dip at that position. Running back, if we take a look, Montgomery would be the highest rated guy, but there's a chance he makes it to us with our next selection. And because we took a running back in round 2 and 3, don't feel like we have a strong need for that position. We've still got 2 flexes to fill, and with that and half PPR, I'm generally looking to play a wide receiver if I can. So I think T. Higgins is going to be the selection here. He's the highest ranked wide receiver left for me. I really like Calvin Ridley a lot. I think he's extremely mispriced on Sleeper, so I'd be looking to target Calvin Ridley a lot on this platform as well. Rashee Rice is a strong consideration. He's a guy that is criminally undervalued right now just by ADP. Wasn't able to adjust because he's not going to be suspended in all likelihood, so Rashee Rice is certainly a target as well. But we'll go with T. Higgins here. My favorite wide receiver left on the board, just a little bit above guys like Ridley, Rashee Rice, and Terry McLaurin. So we're back here. Pickens is a strong consideration here. The only hesitation with Pickens is that Ayuk is still, on the market. If we saw an Ayuk trade to Pittsburgh, that would absolutely tank George Pickens' value. If we look at, obviously, tight end, not a selection here, but Kittle would be a good value if you didn't have one, as would Pitts if you're interested there. Joe Burrow is a little bit interesting just because we got that T. Higgins stack, but I'm not really interested in that. I generally prefer to go for my quarterback being like Kyler or Jordan Love if I can. Kyler's great if I can get him in round 8 here. That'd be fantastic if possible. I probably won't, because we're picking pick 64 here. I'd be shocked to see Kyler make it back to us at pick 76 or 77. I mean, it's possible. If it happened, that'd be fantastic. There are not very many teams with quarterbacks here. Only 3 of these teams have them. So there are 3 teams that get 2 picks in between us. I bet we see probably 3 quarterbacks go off the board, and then we're taking Jordan Love a lot later. But that being said, I really like the value of George Pickens. I also really like Calvin Ridley, who I'd be okay taking later if I have to. So I think we'll go George Pickens. He'll be our second flex. That makes me feel really good about this wide receiver room. So that's a really strong start. We're hoping Kyler makes it back to us. If he doesn't, that's okay. We saw Burrow. We've got 1 spot here. Bummer. Okay, Kyler goes 1 pick before us. A bit of a bummer there, but that's totally okay. We're just going to be looking at Jordan Love here. The thing I'll highlight is that we are now the last team in this league to draft a quarterback. I've been saying all offseason long, if you're in a 10-team league, there are 10 really good quarterbacks. It's totally okay to be the last one to draft a quarterback. Jordan Love will be my selection, but I don't need to take him here because neither one of teams 1, 2, 3 is going to take a quarterback here. They're not going to double dip on the position. It's silly to do that here. So I feel pretty confident in just taking my favorite player on the board. For me, there's 2 options here. Or 3 options, actually. If I'm going to go running back, it's very, very clearly Raheem Mostert. He's probably going to be the selection here because he's someone that'll make me feel really confident as my RB3. But there's some receivers I really like here as well. I think Calvin Ridley's in line for an awesome season, and I really love Rashee Rice. And I also love Deontay Johnson. Christian Watson's a great selection as well. But I think I got to go running back. I don't want to only have 2 running backs going into round 10, and I'm likely taking a quarterback in round 9. So we're going to take Raheem Mostert here, give ourselves that first bench player, give ourselves a 3rd running back to work with just in case there's an injury to someone like Kyren or Pacheco. Okay, so that went pretty chalk there. Looking at this board again, Rashee Rice is still available, as is Jordan Love. I'm leaning towards taking Rashee Rice and just sort of playing fate a little bit, seeing if the computer is going to bite the bullet and draft a second quarterback. It's possible that it will, but in a real draft, it'd be silly for a manager to do that. So I think that in general, even if this doesn't work out in this mock draft year, I think that I would still make the decision of taking the best player on the board and just sort of daring someone to take a backup quarterback. It's going to be really uncommon for that to happen, so it's okay to sort of just gamble on that. Rashee Rice is a huge step above all the other receivers on the board right here, so I've got to take him. If I don't get Jordan Love, I'm going to be just fine stacking like a Jaden Daniels and Jared Goff duo just to sort of mix and match the quarterback position. So we'll take Rashee Rice. I won't tempt fate any further. If Jordan Love makes it back to me, he will be the selection. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully there's no double dip on quarterback. I'm a little worried about it. And it didn't happen, so that's great. Jordan Love is the clear next best player. There are a couple options that we could take into consideration here. If we look at the running back position, Brian Robinson's the guy I like. I like Tony Pollard, but I think he just went. He went just a little bit earlier. Okay. Chase Brown's a strong consideration, as is Zach Moss. I like Gus Edwards. Those are options. At receiver, I really like Christian Watson. I think he's a great receiver to have on your bench. As a guy that I think has a lot of upside going forward and could really be a difference maker for us over the course of the season. So let's see. If we look at quarterback, how bad do things get if I just tempt fate and then don't end up with Jordan Love? It would be silly for someone with Allen, Richardson, or Stroud to take Jordan Love. I guess I could see a Richardson manager doing it. They've got 2 picks. Okay, I'm not going to tempt it because I do think it's a pretty big tier break after Jordan Love, and I'm just not going to, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I'm not going to make that mistake. It's not worth the difference. I know we didn't get Christian Watson. That's totally okay. We're still going to get Brian Robinson. That's probably the right pick here anyway. The only other thing I would look at is that maybe it makes sense to take Blake Corum around early because we took Kyren Williams in round 2. That is a bit of a safety net, and actually I think that's going to be my selection. And I'm not generally pro handcuffs, but I think there are some specific cases where that makes sense. And I think Blake Corum is one of those where he's first off the clear backup to Kyren. We know he's a workhorse if Kyren goes down, and there are now just a little bit of concerning reports. Like Kyren returning punts scares me a little bit. I have Kyren in the keeper league. I got him super late last year, so obviously I'm keeping him. He's a great value, but it does make me a little bit scared about him. There's just reasons to be concerned there, and the reasons you're concerned are reasons you'd be optimistic about Blake Corum. So I think Corum's a great selection here, even though maybe it's not necessarily the highest upside pick. I think he's a guy that's going to give us we're going to sleep a lot better at night with him on our roster, and we can play him in a pinch if we ever needed to. Coming back around here, so now we're looking at a situation. We've got 4 running backs, but you could argue we really only have 3. Like, we're never going to play both Corum and Kyren Williams and be happy about it. So I'd like to look at the running back position if we can. I'm looking at all the guys on the board. Of course, we're not going to go quarterback or tight end because we took guys early that we're confident in, so there's no need to do that. If you did want to double dip and take someone like Jaden Daniels, just the upside shot, I've got no problem with it. It's just not something that I'm looking to do if I do end up with a top 10 quarterback. At running back, I think there are a lot of options here. Chuba Hubbard, he's a strong consideration. He's going to be the starter for the first 4 weeks. I don't anticipate needing him at that point, though, and I think that by the time I might end up needing him, you're looking at a situation where he's not useful because, like, you're going to have Jonathan Brooks back, and then I don't know how useful Chuba Hubbard really is in that scenario. So I don't think he's a very valuable selection, to be entirely honest. J.K. Dobbins, there is an outside shot towards him just being the RB1 there, so that's certainly someone we could take a look at. Jalen Wright gives me a little bit of excitement, but I don't generally want to double dip with Mostert and Wright. I think that's just a bit of a, there's not as much upside if you do that, unless I guess if there was an injury to Achane. Tyler Algier, he's a strong selection for me. Just, a classic, really solid backup that we know is going to be a workhorse if someone goes down. And then Marshawn Lloyd, also a strong option. Reports out of camp haven't been great for Lloyd this offseason, but we now know that A.J. Dillon's going to miss the entire season. It's Lloyd and it's Josh Jacobs. I think that if Josh Jacobs were to go down, Lloyd would be an absolute monster. With that being said, I'm going to go Tyler Algier, who I just am more confident in being a good player. If something were to happen to Bijan. One thing I'll highlight as well here is we're getting to the point this late in the draft where I'm okay just sort of ignoring ADP. I'm just taking my favorite players. There's no reason to draft a player based off of ADP just because I think that there's a lot of reasons to be ADPs are going to vary quite a bit, and the difference between a 15th round pick and a 12th round pick, it's nothing really. So just take your guys. You'll feel a lot happier, and you're not going to just draft guys you don't like just because they're higher rated. Like Tyler Lockett, not someone I have any interest in really this season. Not really going to find myself drafting a lot of him, even though he's the highest rated player left. Next pick for me here, I think Chuba does make a little bit of sense now. It gives me the last running back that I'd want to take. The issue is that it does sort of fill out our bench, although I think I'll draft a defense to sort of show you guys some defenses that I'm looking at, but I'm not going to draft a kicker here. So we got 2 more bench spots. We'll draft a kicker. We'll pick up a kicker right before the season starts if we need to do that. So for me, I'm going to go Chuba here, and then I'm going to look to take a receiver with my second to last pick, and then we'll go defense with our last selection. Looking at receiver here, I think there's a lot of decent options. Shaheed is someone that I'm very interested in, but I don't know exactly what the upside is there. Jalen Polk is someone that I think needs to be on our radars. He's going to get an opportunity to start as soon as the season starts. Drake May has gotten some really good reports out of camp and looked really good in his last preseason game. And if Polk does emerge as the clear wide receiver 1 for a quarterback that could be good, we don't necessarily know what's going to happen with this Patriots offense, but if Drake May has a really high-end rookie season, which is certainly in their cards, there's a reason he was the 3rd-round pick, Jalen Polk's going to be a monster. There's going to be real value in that offense if Drake May is what the Patriots hope he is, and that makes Jalen Polk a strong consideration at this part in the draft. For me, though, I'm going to lean Dontavian Wicks just to give myself a stack with Jordan Love. Really late, easy stack to have. We'll know week 1 effectively if Dontavian Wicks has carved out a role, if he's leveled up, and he's a player that I'm excited about. I think he's got an opportunity to really see an increased role this year and potentially be really good. So Wicks is the guy here, and then with our last selection, we'll be picking a defense. A couple defenses to highlight. The first defense I'll highlight, if they are still available, which I'm assuming they are, is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. Wherever they are. They get to open the season with a matchup against the New England Patriots. That is obviously a great start here. So there's certainly someone we need to consider. Were they really taken already? No. Okay, they are available. They got a really great start of the season. They get the Patriots in week 1. They do have a matchup with the Chiefs in week 2, so you're not going to use them. And I believe they get the Panthers and the Commanders in weeks 3 and 4. So if you had to, you could roster them just to kind of bite the bullet that week against the Chiefs. And you're going to have 3 really good starts of the first 4 weeks. And they're a team that goes effectively undrafted, like you just saw. So you can get them whenever you want. And the Seahawks are a defense start as well. You get the Broncos and then the Patriots to start the season. That's a solid option. The Steelers are, of course, a good selection as well if you wanted to. Obviously, good defenses here, but generally I'm looking to stream the position. So I tend to go with my favorite streaming option, and for me, that's going to end up being actually, honestly, it's probably going to be the Seattle Seahawks. I think they've got a new head coach, defensive coordinator. The Ravens came over. Expect to see a lot of new schemes here. They get 2 rookie quarterbacks in all likelihood to start the season. They'll be a good options for you guys just to start the year. So I'll go Seahawks, but the Seahawks and Bengals are 2 of my favorite streaming options at the defense position if you need to wait till the last pick here. So that'll be the team here. Overall, really satisfied. Of course, we accomplished our goal that we have in all of these 10-team drafts, especially to leave with a top 10 quarterback and a top 5 tight end. So we got that out of the way. We got really good running backs here in Kyren and Isaiah Pacheco. Obviously, a little scary just knowing you've got Kyren as your second-round pick. I think there's a lot of reasons to be a little bit concerned about what could happen there, but still excited about what he has to offer there. No reason to be completely scared off of that. Then, of course, we've got CD, DJ Moore as our starting wide receivers. In the flex, we've got T. Higgins and George Pickens. Then on our bench at running back, we have Raheem Mostert, Blake Gorham, Tyler Algier, and Chuba Hubbard. So just some, upside dart throws. At receiver, we've got Rashee Rice and Dontavian Wicks on the bench. And then, of course, for our defense, we've got the Seahawks defense. So really solid team here. I think the bench is a little bit thin. We had to take some shots at the running back position just to try and hope we can hit on one of those guys. But overall, I really like the receiver room. I really like the running back room, too. I think this is a really good squad, and I would feel really good about it going into the year. So, yeah, I like it. If you have any comments, anything you'd like to see, just let me know in the comments as well. There'll continue to be several videos a week throughout the course of the rest of the season, so if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You get all that for free. If you made it this far in the video, please do give the video a thumbs up as well. It helps with the algorithm and just helps me out as well. So, yeah, appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you with the next one. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.